One winter's night, when the cold wind blew, the engines found it hard to sleep. "What we need," suggested Toby, "is to listen to a story." "A mysterious story," said Percy. "But," added Duck, "it must have a happy ending." "Driver told me a story," said Thomas. So everyone listened. "Once upon a time," began Thomas, "there were 3 little engines who lived in their own little shed on their own little railway. Their names were Duke, Stuart, and Falcon. Duke was the oldest and named after his grace, the Duke of Sodor. He was proud of this and loved to keep the little engines in order. Whenever they did anything that Duke thought wrong, he would say that would never suit his grace. Other engines came and went, but Duke outlasted them all. Stuart and Falcon used to call him Grandpuff. They were fond of him, but they got very tired of hearing all about his grace. Sometimes they would tease him and chant, "Engines come, engines go, Grandpuff goes on forever." "You impertinent scallywags," Duke would say. "Whatever are you engines coming to?" "Never mind, Grandpuff, we're only young ones." "Well, you'd better mind, unless you want to end up like Smudger." "Oh, Grandpuff, whatever happened?" "Smudger," said Duke, "was a show-off. He rode roughly and often came off the rails. I warned him to be careful, but he took no notice." "Listen, Dookie, who worries about a few spills?" "We do here," I said, but Smudger just laughed. Until one day, manager said he was going to make him useful at last. Smudger stopped laughing then. "Why? What did he do?" "He turned him into a generator. He's still there behind our shed. He'll never move again." After that, Stuart and Falcon became really useful engines, and all 3 were happy together for many years. Then, hard times came. The mines in the hills closed. And the railway was closed too. People came to buy the engines. "We'll take Stuart and Falcon." No one wanted Duke. They thought him too old. "Cheer up, Grandpuff," called Stuart. "We'll find you a nice railway, and then you can come and keep us in order." They tried to be brave and cheerful, but no one really thought their dreams would come true. Duke's driver and fireman oiled and greased him one last time. They sheeted him snugly and said goodbye. They had to go away and find work. Duke was alone. "Oh well," he sighed, "I'll go to sleep. It'll help pass the time." Winter torrents washed soils from the hills. Trees and bushes grew all around. You wouldn't have known a shed was there, let alone a little engine asleep inside. "That's not a happy ending," exclaimed Percy. "Ah," murmured Thomas sleepily, "there will be. But that'll have to wait until next time." It was a beautiful moonlit night on the island of Sodor. The day's work was done and all the engines puffed safely home. "Thomas," whispered Percy, "will you tell us the end of the story?" "You mean the one about Duke, the lost engine?" "Exactly," said Henry. "But," added James, "please remind us of the story so far." So Thomas began, and here is the rest of the story he told. Duke was old and lived with two young engines called Stuart and Falcon. They teased Duke and called him Grandpuff, but they were happy together. Then their line was closed down and the young engines went away. Duke was left alone in the shed. He went to sleep and everything around him changed. But Duke was never forgotten. Years went by, until one day not long ago, visitors came to see the Fat Controller. "We want to find Duke," they said, "and make him happy again." Maps lay everywhere. "If we follow the old line shown here on the map," they said, "we'll travel north of the village and then into the mountains. And look, there's a sign for the old station. If Duke's anywhere, he's there." Everyone set off to the mountains far away. The days went by and the search grew harder, but the rescuers wouldn't give up. "Let's go this way," they said. But there was still no sign of Duke. "He's here somewhere," they said. They scrambled over hills and struggled over ditches. At last, their search ended. Quite by accident. "We found him! We found our sleeping beauty!" "Excuse me," inquired Duke. "Are you a vandal? Driver told me vandals break and smash things." "Bless you, no," laughed the rescuers. "We've dropped in because we couldn't find your door. Falcon and Stuart will be pleased to see you." "So they did remember," sighed Duke happily. Then they all set off to Duke's new home. Stuart and Falcon were ready with a big welcome. "He's here," they whispered. "Shh, shh." "You woke me up," grumbled Duke. "In my young days, engines were seen and not heard, Grandpuff, we know. We'll all be back to work tomorrow. We're glad you've come back. We can keep you in order now." "Keep me in order? Be off with you." "Impudent scallywags," murmured Duke. But his old eyes twinkled, and for the first time in years he smiled as he dozed in the sun. "And that," said Thomas, "is the whole story. Did you like it?" "Yes, indeed," agreed the engines, "especially the happy ending." And soon they were all asleep too. One morning, Percy was impatient. He was wearing a new coat of paint and longed for everyone to see it. The other engines were still dozing, but not Percy. "Driver should be here by now. What's he doing?" "Sleeping," grunted Gordon. "But that means I'll be late. The coaches will be waiting and the passengers will get cross." "Rubbish," puffed Henry. "It's still early," added James. "You just want to show off." "No, I don't." "Never mind, Percy," said Thomas. "It'll soon be time for work. But be careful or you might run into danger. And Duke is not here to save you." "Duke?" stuttered Toby. "You mean our hero?" "A large painting of Duke hung in the engine shed." "The very same," said Thomas. "Driver told me the story. Listen." And This is the story Thomas told them. Long ago, when Peter Sam was still called Stuart and Sir Handel Falcon, they worked with Duke on his old railway, but Falcon still had a lot to learn. The manager came to see him. "Falcon, I'm pleased with your work so far. Now you must learn a difficult part of the line. We call it the mountain road." Falcon was excited. "Yes, please, sir." "So tomorrow," continued the manager, "when you have a new coat of paint, you will go on it. Duke will explain everything." Huh, thought Falcon. Duke's an old fusspot. The next day came. "Listen," warned Duke, "the mountain road is difficult. I'll lead." "No," replied Falcon, "I'll lead. How can I learn the route with you lumbering ahead and blocking the view?" "Suit yourself," said Duke, "but never mind the view. Look at the track." The engines set off. "Look at the track," puffed Duke. "Never mind the view." "Fusspot, fusspot," replied Falcon. "Fuddy-duddy, fuddy-duddy, fuddy-duddy." The engine's speed grew slower and slower. "Don't dawdle, don't dawdle," urged Falcon. "No hurry, puffed Duke. Soon they approached a tunnel. Falcon didn't like the tunnel. It was curved and he couldn't see. "I want to get out, I want to get out," he sighed. One moment everything seemed safe, then suddenly... Falcon was derailed and hung dangerously over the edge. Duke bravely held on with all his strength. "Stop shaking," he called. "I can't hold you if you shake." Duke's driver and fireman worked quickly to make the two engines safe again. Then came more trouble. "Water!" cried Duke's fireman. "Duke needs water, quickly!" Luckily, there was a workman's cottage nearby. Soon everyone was passing jugs, buckets, kettles and saucepans filled with water until Duke's thirst was quenched. All the while, Duke was building more strength. At last, with everyone's help, he was able to pull Falcon back onto the rails. Then, they started off once more. The manager was waiting at the top station. He apologised for the accident. "Your Duke," said the passengers, "is a hero. He stood firm like a bulldog and wouldn't let go." Falcon was grateful too. "Thank you for saving me, Duke. I don't know why you bothered after I'd been so rude." "Oh well," replied Duke. "You just had a new coat of paint. It would have been a pity if you'd have rolled down the mountain and spoilt it." Duke is the hero of all the engines. This is a story about him. It happened long ago when Peter Sam was called Stuart and Sir Handel Falcon. Many people came year after year to see the mountains and the lakes, and most of all, Duke. He always pulled his train, even on days when he didn't feel well. "I mustn't disappoint my friends," he would say. Every morning he took his passengers up the line and stopped anywhere they wanted. "Beep, beep," he whistled. "Please be ready when I come back for you, otherwise we might miss your boat to the mainland, and that would never do." One day, Duke didn't feel well. He was short of steam and glad of a rest. His driver and fireman had just finished clearing his tubes when Stuart bustled in. "Hello, Grandpuff," he teased. Are you short of puff? Nothing of the sort. This is routine maintenance. Tell you what, went on Stuart. You're getting old. We must take care of you in case you break down. Humph, booshed Duke. That'll be the day. Duke couldn't stay cross for long. It was a lovely evening. Couldn't be better, couldn't be better, he chanted happily. They began to climb, but Duke didn't mind. I've plenty of steam, he puffed. We'll be up in a couple of puffs. But soon, Duke's puffs changed to wheezes. His valves were leaking steam. It's not so easy, it's not so easy, he croaked. But I'll manage. At last they reached the station. Duke's driver examined him carefully. Anxious passengers waited for news. Duke is going to take you to the harbour, but he might be late, said the guard. So 2 engines are coming to help. You'll still catch your boat. Falcon buffered up in front. Poor old Grandpuff, what a shame you've broken down. Peep, peep, pip, teased Stuart. This is the day. He was coupled on behind. Are you ready? Whistled Falcon. Yes, I am, replied Stuart. And away they went. When they reached the next station, the cavalcade split up. Falcon took Duke's passengers to the boat. Stuart headed Falcon's train with Duke coupled behind. Fancy me rescuing Grandpuff! This is the day, this is the day, he boasted. Poor old engine, poor old engine. But Duke still had plenty of steam left in him. His valves sounded worse than they were. He and his driver had their own little joke ready. They waited until they reached the hill. Now, said his driver. Duke puffed and roared as though he was pushing the whole train's weight before him. The noise echoed everywhere. When they reached the last station, everyone cheered. What happened? Asked the boy. They don't usually need 2 engines. Well, replied his father, Stuart broke down. Duke had to help him. Sounds as if he had a hard job, too. Duke and his driver's joke had worked. Fiddlesticks! Exclaimed Stuart, and he vanished in a cloud of steam. Duke wheezed alongside. Poor old engine, he teased. It's no good, Stuart. You can't win.